Good morning and a warm welcome to Fight CPS with Bob Pace, and that is the morning show. I come on here 3 times a day to talk about something I call the child protection system. It's a government entity that was enacted by Congress in the 60s, directed to social services to create a group of social workers that would keep an eye on our children, protect them from neglect and abuse. And in the 70s, they came up with laws. In the 80s and 90s, they were enforcing it, and our children were being protected. But now, in the 2000 era, I guess it's called the 20th century, and 10 and 20, and now it's 26, CPS has changed. A lot of it's changed. And so has our police, too. So there's bad elements out there. I'm not saying all child protection systems are bad. I'm not saying all police are bad, but there are some of them. And you guys have come to my room looking for help. You don't know what child protection services are. Well, it's a government entity. I've already told you when it was enacted, but it's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. It has two kinds of reporters that call CPS. And I'll talk about that in a moment, but I want to tell you that CPS is found in every county, in every state, and every city in every country. This is a worldwide live stream that's sent. Anybody with internet can see this. And I've had over 2,600 people come in here, or phone, or call, or text a message, or email me from approximately 30 countries and all 50 states. I've heard from all the 50 states. And some of the countries are Canada with several of their provinces. I think there's been about 3 provinces. The British Isle, England, Scotland, Wales, and just past week we had a lady named Jennifer Stewart, or Heather Stewart, from Scotland. And then we have the mainland Europe, some from those countries. We have the Middle East, which really tough what they're going through now. We've had the continent of Africa. We've had about 4 countries there. And you had a lady from South Africa call me. There's I think 2 provinces that have called in here. Then we got India and Bangladesh and Indonesia and Australia and New Zealand. And those are some of the countries. I've been doing this now for 2.5 years, and so I got a really good depth of helping people. Yesterday was really busy. We had a lot of people in here and a lot of questions being asked. So if you're going to ask me a question or make a comment, keep it to CPS and give me your first name and your city and your state, or if you're outside the United States, your city and your country. And that helps me a little bit kind of visualize where the problems of CPS is. Now, I am about me, because a lot of you may ask who I am. I'm a caring father that has helped raise 6 children. I have 43 years of marriage. And I have 61 years of life skills. I've worked since the age of 15. So if you add 15 and 61, you'll find out how old biologically this dinosaur is. Or mathematically. I shouldn't say biologically, because there are 2 types of ages. There's your biological age, how you look and how you feel. Then there's the mathematical age, the day you're born, the time stamp when you're born. So you have your math age and you have your biological age. And I feel like I'm still in my 50s. Okay? I feel young, and I am getting in years, no question about it. But I would like to help you. So all you have to do is ask me a question, make a comment. Now, today should be my computer part, hopefully today or tomorrow. and I can start receiving phone calls. That means you could call in and ask a question. Besides, you can text in here in the room and ask a question. And I think there's a button you can push to call in. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure, but someone told me at the other end of SteamYard that there's a button you can call in if it's set up that way. Now, I work for an attorney named Vincent W. Davis, and I want to thank him very much for what he's done. And he's a great attorney. He's well schooled in the areas of dependency law and family law and juvenile law. What you're in with CPS is dependency court, but family law and juvenile law play a part to it. So you want an attorney that's trained in those three areas. Also, he is trained in criminal law. He is a trial attorney. He can do trials. Furthermore, he's also a civil attorney. He can do civil suits, and he's done numerous of cases against CPS. He's not afraid to stand up to him and sue him for millions of dollars and win money back. There are times that CPS will commit perjury, as in my case. I too was a victim of a very troubled CPS system in Orange County, California, called the Child Protection Services. You'll find out that every county and every state will have one, but they'll have different names. Next door in LA County is Department of Children and Family Services. Now, a lot of this is redundant because some of my regulars come in here. I have about 50 to 75 regulars that come in here over the years, and they're great people. They really are. And some of I have helped. Recently, David Halago, who's been in my show for years, I got him to hire Vincent Davis, and he got his daughter back. They just completed, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they dropped the charges against him. And make sure when anytime the charges are dropped against you that you purge your records. And if you that graduate, if you're in foster care as a youth and you turn 18, make sure you get your record purged. It is so bad because CPS will keep a track on you after you turn 18 and come after you and your family. I'm sad, but they do that. And I don't know if it's retaliation or what. I don't know what it is. But they do that. They do that. And so make sure you do that. Now I have a lot of rules, 5 rules roughly, that will help you with your CPS case. Now I'll get into the details. 1, the key to success is hire an attorney. 2 is paperwork. You got to make a notebook, keep everything, and organize it. 3, you do not open the door or talk to social workers. Even if you're at the hospital, don't talk to social workers. And 4, you want to spend some time on the internet. And you want to search. You want to spend hundreds of hours. There's a format to search. Again, I'll get into that. And then 5 is that you never want to give up. You never know. I know it's discouraging. But if I did those 5 things, I would have never had my children taken. Typically, CPS MO, what their operation is that they receive from one of the reporters, a professional reporter or lay reporter, that they have, the reporter has said that the child is in danger or neglect. Now, the professional reporters are your school teachers, your administrators, your school nurse that observe children, and of course, your teachers and counselors. And then the other ones are your doctors and nurses that see the children when they're brought in. Then there's the caregivers that maybe your child stays in daycare. They are professional. And then there's a fireman and the police. Maybe they stopped you for a traffic accident and notice your child is suffering in the back or hurting in the back or whatever. And the firemen come out to your home and they put out the fire, but they find that the child was mistreated or something like that. They're required professionally by law to report any suspected negligence or abuse. And they're not perfect reporters. And I think they get it right maybe 50% of the time. 50%, it's a 50-50 shot. The other reporters are the layperson. They're your siblings, your lady next door, your friends next door in the area, your relatives. Your relatives is a big area where they report it in. Then there could be a guy at the store or at the fast food place or the market or whatever it is. Those are called lay people. They're not required by law, and they're not been educated like the professionals to recognize. And they get it right maybe 25% of the time, they're 75% wrong. The problem being is if you have a bad CPS system, they're automatically going to come to your house and want to take your child. That's their MO. Now, they're not supposed to take a child unless the child is in danger. Unless the child is in danger. And if there's a knock on the door, don't answer it. And if you have a camera, see who's out there. If it's the police or looks like a social worker, which are easy to spot because they'll be dressed pretty nice. They'll have an ID hanging down. It could also be a religious person that wants to sell you some religion. Nothing wrong with that. It could be a salesman or whatever it is. I find the best way to do is that if someone really wants to talk to you or see you, they can leave their business card, make a phone call, and leave their message on the answer machine, or I don't even answer the phone unless I recognize who's calling. The same thing goes for the door. You need a special knock or a ring for a person coming over to visit and stuff. That way you can open the door. But if you open the door, it's like a can of worms. They're going to see your castle. Your home is your castle, and your door is your drawbridge, and it needs to be shut and kept shut. Too many people have been shot at the door. I mean, there's a lady in LA last year that was shot 5 times in the face. She's dead. There's a young man in Florida, an Air Force military enlisted man who served his country, was shot 5 times in the chest. I mean, the lady was shot by an a Los Angeles sheriff, and the gentleman in Gainesville, Florida, was shot by a Gainesville sheriff. Now, they're both fired, and they're both being sued, but that doesn't bring back the lady or the man. And it happens all the time now. People are being apprehended, and there are bad cops, just like they're bad social workers. I'm not saying cops are all bad. I'm not saying social workers are all bad. But we got to be careful out there. Some political people, including judges, have been approached the door and broken into and killed there recently. And it doesn't make a difference what state you live in or where you're at. It happens everywhere. Whether you're way up the North Pole or Alaska or Minnesota or Maine or whatever it is, the country is infiltrated with the last 4 years of 1 million people every year. You got 4 million people that have come into the United States and settled. They're up north and they're making families. The only problem is they've not been vetted. They've not sworn their allegiance to the United States. They've not taken a class in government. They're not taking a class in U.S. history. And they don't speak the common language, which I believe in the United States, it is English is the common language. I'm not trying to say you can't hang on to your roots. One of the most persecuted people have been the Native American Indians in the United States, or the First Nation Indians in Canada, or the Eskimos in Alaska. Now, these people had migrated from Asia to the land bridge up in Alaska 10 to 50,000 years ago. People on Earth had been migrating everywhere. But once you're born here, you're a Native American. You're American. And once you're legally born here, I need to refresh that. I need to refresh that. I know there's some talk right now that if people come here and they have children and they're not U.S. citizens, their children don't have U.S. citizens' right. And there's pros and cons. I'm not here to discuss that. But our children, we need to protect them no matter who they are. And we also got to understand a child of 3 or 4 or 6 needs to be protected. I'm sorry. I have 2 devices and my computer is down. The computer part's supposed to come in, and normally I do my video on my computer and do my audio on my phone. And what I mean by that, it's audio video on my computer using the StreamYard application, and my phone is an application I use to do phone calls from people calling in. Also, my computer can do a lot more than a phone device can. You can search the internet without losing StreamYard. But if I do that on my phone and I want to look something up, I will suddenly, the StreamYard will stop. And after so many seconds, it's going to completely stop, and I have to rejoin the live stream. So I know a lot of you have asked to be a guest on my show, and I'd love to have you. There's room for 9 people, and I already have 3 or 4 people that expressed interest. And I have a number that directly is to me, but you can't call it because I can't answer it. And on top of that, I have an email that you can send me, and the purpose right now of my phone number, and I need to put it up here. Let me put it up here. Is that if you want to be a guest on my live stream, all you do is give me your first and last name, your city and state or country, and your phone number and email. Now, my phone number to text right now is 626-698-0990. Hold on in the moment of calling. And my email is bobp@vincentwdavis.com. Now, I was talking about my attorney, Vincent Davis, early on the show and how good his background. There's a number for his office, too. I work for the law firm of Vincent W. Davis and Associates. I'm not an attorney, and what I give you is for educational purposes. It's also life experiences. I, too, as I told you earlier, was a victim of CPS. Well, the number of the office is 888-888-6582. It's going through the bottom of my screen. And if you call in the office, you'll get reception, and make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Also, you need to, if you want to talk to Vincent Davis, he'd like to talk to you. You can ask to be transferred, or they'll set you up for a talk with Mr. Davis. They may ask you some more questions. What they're doing is they're trying to filter things out to see what you really need and what you want. Mr. Davis is a very busy lawyer. He's one of the top lawyers in the country. And he does a lot of his time for free, where he goes on his reels like I do. You'll see me on reels here at Facebook. And so he has YouTube videos. I have YouTube videos. He has Facebook reels. And he does also live stream like I do. He will come on. And so that office, you can find the schedule. Also, if you notice his name and picture in the right-hand corner. And he has a website you can go to called stan.store/attorney VWD. That stands for Vincent W. Davis. When you go to that website, you'll see all kinds of packages and deals he may have. Now, he has another website, vincentwdavis.com, which is his home website, and you'll find information there. So there's 2 websites you can go to, and they're up on the screen, so if it's said too fast, you can see it. But he sometimes pops in my room, and right now I have 7 Facebook pages hooked up. Right now I have the reality series of CPS, the law office of Vincent, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I actually have a page there. Relatives Fight CPS. Fight CPS Real Talk with Mrs. G. The Secret How to Fight CPS. Are you a CPS victim like me? Then there's the YouTube. Oh, there's Juvenile Dependency, the Real Victims of CPS, and CPS Defense Attorney, and that is with Mr. Davis. Yeah, it knocked me out of the room when I went to go tell you the rooms in there. It's hard on the phone, I guess. All right, we have somebody here, a couple of people, great. A couple of people have texted messages. Let me put up the on so you can see what people text. Now you can see I have it there. So I think the first person is got it. Okay. I guess I'll call you God. I guess that's your name, God. And I don't see anything about you say California, but I don't know what city you are. Now you say CPS won't give me my grandkids. So you must be a grandparent because of my criminal background. Well, I don't know what kind of a criminal background, but that's wrong. If you served your time and you're legally out in the public and you have no restriction on there's no reason why CPS will not grant you your grandchildren because you have a criminal background. Again, that CPS entity, I don't know which one what county you're talking about, is bad. And you did your time. It's over 22 years ago. And I don't know what city you're in California, but at least I got the state. I just want to be heard in a courtroom to plead my case. Well, courts are interesting places. Courts are to settle any matter that you're charged with. There's all kinds of charges and all kinds of matters. You can have an eviction matter where they're trying to evict you out of your house. Or you could have a workman's comp matter where they shortchanged your hours. Or a criminal matter dealing with things like you shot somebody, you bank robbed somebody, you stole something. Criminal matters are there's CPS is a criminal matter, but it's not held in criminal court. A lot of these courts are different. There's family court, there's dependency court, there's criminal court, there's lots of courts. And to be heard, you got to have something against you. Now, if you want to be a civil and do a civil lawsuit, you can be in court. And depending on that, some court cases allow jury trials, some don't. It all depends on the situation. Now, in CPS matters, they don't have jury trials, and they should. There should be a group of men and women from the area that they live in decide the fate of the person that's been accused of a CPS matter of neglect or abuse. And I think if they did that, it would really make CPS a better place. It really makes CPS a better place. Now we have another person named Tack. I'm going to tactical politics, but he's from Colton County, Texas. Glad to meet you, Tack. And so Tack is from Colton County, Texas. Do you have a comment or a question? Tack does say in the next one, 20 years ago this happened. They're grown now with children of their own, and I need to sue. You can still sue. The statute of limitations may not be up. I know if they commit perjury against you, that never is going to die of your child because there's things that you're entitled to. And you could sue them in a civil lawsuit. But let me tell you a little bit about attorneys and money. Most lawyers charge money. There are some attorneys that will do some pro bono work. They might have a rule where they do 80% charge cases and 20% pro bono because they like to get something back. Yes, attorneys charge her from $200 an hour to $1,000 an hour. Those are the ranges that I've seen in my experience. Retainers may be 2,500 to 10,000, but some retainers are more. Some hourly rates are more. It all depends on the complexity of the case, how long the case has been going on, and how far the case is from his home. If he has to go up to Wisconsin, he's going to have to take a plane and then get a car for ground transportation to get to the hotel where he'll stay. And because he's not at home, he has to eat out. It's very difficult when you travel, especially on a short term basis, because you end up eating out all the time. I know that from working up in Northern California. When I worked up in Northern California, I did have some food I could stick in the hotel room, but I mainly wanted to have a good meal. And in the morning, there was breakfast served at the hotel, but there's always your lunchtime and your dinner. So there's costs there. And then there's to and from, you may have to print some pages or make some copies of paperwork. There's also a license fee you got to pay for that state. So all those factors are consideration with the fee. I remember giving a quote of $125,000 retainer for Vincent Davis to go to Wisconsin. Now, he locally is in the LA County. His office is in Arcadia. And they are the Department of Children and Family Services. Different, but their CPS system is Department of Children and Family Services. And his possible rate is $5,000. His hourly charge is $550 an hour. Now, that is for a typical case, but again, those aren't in stone. You'll need to talk to Vincent Davis to get the right price. But at least gives you a ballpark. And you probably say, whoa, I can't afford $550. I know most of you can't, I couldn't. And the reason why, a lot of us are in between jobs, a lot of us are retired, a lot of us are struggling with the economy the way it's been. The sad thing about the economy, that over the last 50 years, it's grown too fast, expenses. When I was in high school, and now you're really going to think I'm a dinosaur, gas was a nickel. I remember paying Sunoco racing 260, I think it was, racing gasoline, which was a high octane gas for a Mustang of nickel. Now, I had an earliest Mustang. I think the earliest were 65. Mine was a 66. But gas was cheap. Oil, oh boy, I think it was 75 cents a quart. A loaf of bread was 10 cents. A gallon of milk was 75 cents. Bananas were 10 cents. And things go in relationship to your salary. Now, I know that back when I started working, $1.45 was considered very good salary. But $1.45 is not going to get you anywhere. And so, they pay a higher salary, but the salary is not kept up with expenses. If the salaries did, and lately you're hearing that it's getting more and more higher salary, but it's slow. It's slow. I think expenses are more higher. And then if we get in wars or conflicts or things, then we have spikes in expenses. Right now we have a spike, and we're hoping that will get over quick. We're hoping that gets over quick. Now, I'm halfway through my show, and I've only had two comments, one that wants to sue, and then the other one wants to be heard in a courtroom. Is there anybody else? Are you two TAC or GOT want to ask me more questions? This is your time to get something free. This is not going to cost you a dime. All I ask you is that you be respectful in here and to one another, no profanity. And if you're live with me on the show, there's no eating or smoking. And that's all there is to it. And also keep it to Child Protection System matters, CPS matters. Now, it's 1:30, and I did talk about my 5 things you need to do. And let me go into detail. Now, I have been talking about attorney pretty much throughout this morning. You need to get quotes from 3 attorneys. You need to talk to at least 3 attorneys, but you need to find 5. You need to find 5 qualified attorneys. Now, let me switch to rule number 4. Rule number 4 is how to use the internet. And we have a lot of search engines and browsers and stuff. Google Chrome and ChatGPT, which is the newest one, seem to do pretty good with CPS. Now, I know someone's using DuckDuckGo or something. DuckDuckGo is a new browser. There's Apple has Safari. See, Apple has exclusive rights. I don't know if people can use Safari unless you're on a Apple computer, an Apple phone. I don't have it. I have Google Chrome and ChatGPT. I also have Grok, which is the newest one Elon Musk has on X, which used to be Twitter. And so you need to have the format of your words set up. The first word is going to be your city. The second word is going to be your state. And if you're not in the United States, just put your city and country. Then after that, you want to put the capital letters CPS. Now, at first, it's going to unfilter. It's going to get anything related to that area in CPS. So whatever the city you put in the state, it's going to show relevant things to that area. But it's all about CPS. You need to put after CPS more filters, more filters. More filters you got to put, more filters. Like if you're looking for an attorney, which I'm talking about, you want to put in dependency law. You start off with attorney, in dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. That's what you search for, attorney. And if you want to, hold on 1 second. I got to get the call because I'm not there. Okay, I'm back. That was a call that nothing said. I get a lot of times these calls. People do it at home too. I don't know why people call except to see if you're home. Maybe they want to come and rob you. I have nothing to give them. My computer doesn't even work, so I don't know what they would want here. Anyway, we're trying to search for an attorney, and this attorney. If you say attorney in those areas, and you want to do a further search for pro bono, after you put dependency law, family law, and juvenile law, put pro bono. And that'll pick up all the attorneys. Try it. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Now, if you're not searching for an attorney, let's say you want to find out what is a 388 motion. How do you do a 388 motion? For some of you that don't know, it's a special motion that attorneys will file to have new evidence, or you complete your class and stuff, and have a court date with the judge. He has to, within 30 days, answer you, and you can give your time to court to show new evidence. Maybe something you used was false and you got new evidence. You also have 160 hearings, 180 hearings. You have a lot of things in court. That's why attorneys are so specialized. There's something called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1979, which took 150 years for American Indian children to be put back in their families. That's the tragedy. And again, the person that was our first immigrant has been persecuted. And then the other day, someone got me on technicality, says, oh, there's immigrants before the Indians. Well, yeah, there was a different kind of man. There's different kinds of human beings that came on Earth. So what do you want to do? You want to talk about the Homo sapien man, or the Neo-Krogan man, or the Krogan man? I mean, there's so many different kinds of mans. And so, anyway, the Native American Indians have been in this North America for 10,000 years. And I think this is far enough we need to go back because they don't, but our children were rounded up in the 1870s and put in schools to assimilate into the culture. They thought by wiping out the children, by cutting their hair and taking away their clothing and put in uniforms and learn English, not keep their own language and no customs. And they thought because they never returned to families. When the Indians were rounded up, the children were taken to private schools that did a lot of harm to them. Discipline back in those days was harsh. They used rulers to smack hands. They put you on a stool as a dunce. They used a lot of corporate punishment that isn't used today in schools. Anyway, it wasn't until 1978 when the law was passed that said if you're an Indian and you're registered with a tribe, and there's different degrees of Indians. There's right now 50 to 100,000 true-blooded Indians left. That's all. There was millions of Indians in the 1800s. There's 584 tribes. There's about all the tribes in 1800 are recognized today as federal tribes with reservations. So tribal people can take care of their own with CPS matters. So that law that was enacted says if they are and they're registered, they need to be turned over to the tribe, and the tribe will take care of their CPS matter, which I think sometimes is better. Sometimes is better. But CPS will lie and cheat and not honor that. I have one CPS case in Happy Feet and in Arizona, and she is an Indian. Her husband is Indian, and I think her children are 50% Indian tribe there. And they're recognized, but the CPS won't release them. So anyway, those are things that you can search. You search for attorneys, you search for forms, you search anything you want to know about CPS. Maybe after the word CPS, you put in the Orange County CPS, and they'll tell you further just about Orange County CPS. Or you may want to put in a social worker's name, or you may want to put in the judge's name, or one of the prosecuting attorneys. You need to find out. You know, I tell a lot of people, fighting CPS is like a war. It is like a war because you need to find as much intel about them. That's why Iran is having Russia find out the intel on the United States, where the troops are, where the soldiers, and that's what you need to do. You need to find out, is the Orange County Child Protection Services corrupt? Have they had a lot of complaints? Is Judge such and so a good judge, a bad judge? You'll find all that in that rule number 4. But rule number 1 is the attorney. So now that you've found the attorney and it's going to meet the criteria, remember, dependency law, family law, juvenile law, and a CPS, case. So you call, you find 5 names, and you will call 3 of them. Well, call all 5. That way, if the other one's don't bring, so call 5 and ask them 2 questions. And I'm going to tell you right now, Vincent Davis is yes to both questions. Your first question is, are you a dependency lawyer, family lawyer, juvenile lawyer that has won CPS cases? If the answer is yes, you go to the second question. Once the case is over, have you ever filed a civil lawsuit against CPS and won? Now, each attorney may have maybe 1 case or 100 cases, whatever. The more cases, better. But if they answer yes to both questions, you got a candidate. I'm not saying that's the attorney you're going to hire, but you got 5 candidates. Right now, you have 1, Vincent Davis. You have his phone number, and you can talk to him. You can talk to him and get his retainer and his hourly rate. And then you can sign a document. You'll have to sign a document that is a legal binding document. Hiring an attorney is a serious matter, but it is affordable if you use creative financing. Now, I had to quick sell my home to finance Mr. Davis for my case. In 2015, I tried to fight it for about 6 months and get nowhere. So I think after 6 months, I found Mr. Davis. I did not interview 3 attorneys. I did not interview 5. I only interviewed Vincent Davis because what he did online impressed me. And he took the time to talk to me. It was more than what I had put away because I had lost my job in 2010. That was where my spiral was happening with my family. I had a great income and a beautiful 7-digit home close to the beach. But after working for a long time, 30 some years, I was laid off. I wasn't fired. I was laid off because the state of California was going bankrupt and they needed funding. So they took the funds for my public work contracts, something like 53 million, and used that money to finance California so it wouldn't go into the sea. Only problem is I couldn't start my jobs. And I went to banks, and the banks were not very impressed to give out credit lines or loans because they had been burned. All the banks collapsed except one. Somehow Bank America stayed afloat. I don't know why, but all of them, because they're giving out what's called predatory loans. I had one. I didn't know it was a predatory loan. Most people didn't. They go into a lender, and the lender I always used was Countrywide. They're out of business, by the way. And they double your income. They overqualify you for something you couldn't afford. And the red flag was on the wall when they offered me my loan. I had a good rate, 2%. They said, "Hey, we can get you a credit line." I said, "Why do I need a credit line? I already have a $650,000 loan at 2%. That's expensive. I think it was $1,000 a month." And of course, a lot of you hear that and say, "Oh, I'd love to jump on that." But that was back in 19, oh, geez. Well, I think it was 2004 or 2002. Anyway, it was a long time ago. And I had a credit line. Boy, was the credit line good to have. I didn't realize their property taxes would be 12,000 every 6 months, $24,000 a year in property taxes. That's a lot of money. Yes, I had a big salary. I could do that. So I had to put away, actually, I'm sorry, it was 12,000 a year, $6,000 every 6 months. It was $1,000 a month I had to put away for taxes. I had to save. So out of my paycheck every week, it was 4.3 weeks in a month. I put away X number of dollars divided. I took the $12,000, divided it by 12. So that was easy math. It's probably a plus or minus more, but anyway, I put that into a savings account. That means I wouldn't touch it, and it's still making a little bit of money. That's what savings accounts made 4 or 5%. Now they don't make anything. So if I had a bill that was an annual bill or a bill that was biannual, whatever it is, I divided the months because see, I was paid on a weekly check. So my paycheck, and that's what I do now. I still do that. That's a life skill that you should use because you take the money that you make out of your paycheck. Like if you have a haircut, let's say your haircut's $50, you get paid once a week. Well, you divide that out and you put that money. So what you do is you take your income into a checking account, typically that you're going to take off, and then you have another account. It could be a savings account, or maybe there's other accounts that have, you can only do 2 or 3 withdrawals as a higher rate. There's lots of things. I don't have time to talk about that life skill, because I can talk to you about banking and financing and how it's set up. Because right now, I'm trying to work on a very limited budget right now. Right now, my budget, you wouldn't want to hear. So Um, I need to finish this. So where I'm getting at there, raising funds to hire an attorney is going to be hard. You can do a credit line. Mine were already exhausted. I had no money. My equity in my house was gone. Because why? I had too big of loans. I didn't realize buying a home, I would have that kind of loans. And I didn't realize I'd be qualified. I was shocked. And by the way, I had to do a lawsuit, not against Countrywide, but against my bank, Bank of America. And I won. I cannot believe it to this day that I won. I won peanuts. You don't want to hear what I won. It was piddles. But they owed up to it. They settled out of court. There's a thing called settlements, and sometimes people take them, and I couldn't afford any more attorney fees to fight it. I think my attorney fees cost more than what I got. You know, uh, it's great. If you can get a lawyer and say, I'll give you half of what you get, that's a good deal. 50%. So if you sue them for $1 million, you get 500, they get 500. But in CPS cases, it isn't about doing a lawsuit, it's about defending yourself. So it's money all out of your pocket or out of your home. My favorite home was beautiful. I lost it after working 45 years. I think that was my third or fourth home. And I had, I had a beautiful home close to the beach in a private neighborhood. In a private neighborhood with rules and CCRs, and it was it's really impressive. So when I lost my job, I hung on to the home for 7 years, but eventually I had to quick sell it to pay off the debts of my to pay off my debts to cost me with my children. I don't even want to talk about that. I've spent all my savings to try to maintain that home for 7 years without a job. I mean, I would try to get periodical jobs from time to time, but they wouldn't last long. Because once you're in CPS, it's on your records. If an employer finds that you're involved in CPS, they think you're a bad guy. Anybody does. Anybody that says, I have a CPS matter, oh my goodness, do they drill you into the ground. They think you're the worst individual on earth. You neglected your children. You abused your children. How terrible is that? How terrible is that? Now, again, I remind everybody that I'm open to comments, and maybe I missed some. Um, we have Tack. Oh, Tack says he's from Collin County, Texas. I'm sorry, Tack. And it happened 20 years ago. They're grown up of their own. I need to sue. I know you do. Hi, Lisa Barkley. Oh, wow. Thank you. Lisa Barkley's from Montana. She's one of my regulars. She's been in here forever, but her case has taken a sour note. She finally got the criminal charges stopped. She got her door repaired where they used a battering ram to break her door down. I don't know who paid for the doors, but she didn't. But they were wrong what they did. They took her young son, who I think was 4 at the time, he's 5 now, but they gave him to the biological father, who has raped her after they got divorced and raped her, and then he's stalking her. He's out there daily, and so she's now trying to get what's called a restraining order. First it starts off as a temporary restraining order, where all simple thing is you go to the police station, fill out some forms, and say you want this person to stay 100 yards from you. And then the police will keep it on. And then you go to court, and court usually within 30 days or whatever, and you have to show the court why the restraining order is necessary. And that can be tough in court because you have to hire an attorney. I think restraining orders are about $5,000 in legal fees a long time ago. I don't know what they are. It seems like 5,000 is the going rate for retainers. And by the way, a retainer has to keep full. It's not something you put there and then when it's empty, you say, well, how much money you want in there? No. Some of the rules are is you've dropped down below half, you got to replenish it. So if you drop down to 2,500, then you got to put another 2,500 in there to maintain or whatever the retainer is. And they use the hourly fee against it. And they bill in tenths of an hour. So if they make a phone call, if they do a form or the research, it's tenths of an hour. If you guys don't know what tenths of an hour, it's 10 minutes, I think. Every 10 minutes, they're going to bill you a tenth. So if the rate is $100, how many tenths an hour? How many 10 minutes? There are six. So six into $100, or say it's $60, so it's easy. That means every tenth is $10. So their tenth of an hour is. So if they're $60 an hour attorney, their every 10 minutes is $10. So if the task, I think it's less than 10 minutes, they don't bill. I mean, every attorney is different. You can't generalize. I keep emphasizing when you do talk to that attorney or attorneys, you found five of them, you want to talk to at least three. But you need to talk to them because why? You need to establish the chemistry. A lot of people will hire an attorney, it doesn't even do what they're supposed to do. And a lot of guys or girls are terrible attorneys. You need to check their background. Where'd they get their law degree? Was it USC? Was it Pepperdine? Was it a reputable law firm? What is their track record? You know, if you're going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend you, you need to do that. Now, I had mentioned credit lines and homes and loans and things like that. Another area that people forget, and I didn't even think about it, I should have, is you can get what's called legal insurance. You can pay a yearly premium, yearly monthly. That might be $100 a month, $1,200 a year for legal insurance. I've seen a quote I think the quote I've seen is $500 at the low end and $1,200 at the high end. That means though finance attorneys say, "Whoa, that's a pretty good deal. If my attorney is $50,000 and I'm only paying $1,200 a year, that's pretty good." Well, it all depends on the situation. I think you need to shop around. It isn't advertised. It isn't advertised because I think what happens, just like in other insurance matters, they only pay what they feel is the right rate. If you notice your medical bill, when you have medical insurance, well, they determine what a doctor can get paid. The doctor may want $100 an hour, but the insurance says, with us, you only get $75 an hour. Well, what's better? No money or $75 an hour? So it's a strange world, but there is insurance that will protect you. See, if you have a DUI, and that's a serious matter, your life could be terrible. You need to have an attorney. You need a lawyer. Now, there are several types of lawyers. One is a paid lawyer or attorney. One is a court-appointed attorney or a public defender. And the third one is a pro bono. And then I guess a fourth one would be a specialist attorney. Only specializes in one or two areas. So you got to make sure. I've heard so many people, I paid the guy $20,000. He's done nothing for me. I found out he's just a criminal attorney. Criminal attorneys cannot handle CPS. Eviction attorneys cannot handle CPS. Workman's comp attorneys can't handle CPS. You need a specialized attorney. And it's, if it's a good one, they deserve every bit of it. I have hired attorneys in the past. My most expensive one wasn't Mr. Davis. My most expensive one was a Beverly Hills attorney. I thought, I started at Pasadena, and I got one in Beverly Hills, and I thought it'd be really good. And he was using me to get his way on something a long time ago. So I've had negative experience with attorneys, but Vincent Davis is good out there. He's the only attorney that did his best to defend me and get my children back. I have 6 children, by the way, I've helped to raise. One's in the 40s, 2's are in the 30s, and 3 are in their 20s. And 2 are still in college. Good grief. I hope college will be done. Very expensive to bring up kids. And right now, I can never afford, I put them through private high schools. And They're going to college. They're not going to the most expensive colleges. Don't get me wrong. And I could talk to you about what colleges are good or bad. But my boys are going to my college. It's a good school. It's a good school. And I had to pay my way through college. So in the old days, it only cost me $50 a semester, $25 for books. And still, it was a good school. It still is a good school now. But now it's thousands of dollars now. I mean, if you want to go to Notre Dame, expensive. The only school that I found is cheap is the Naval Academy. And the Naval Academy is really great today. And probably the other academies are too. But I know about the Naval Academy because I want to get my son in there. I wanted to play football for the Naval Academy. In high school, he won 2 national championships. He's a running back. And he wanted to be an astronaut going to Mars. And that's something that I dreamed about when I was his age. And I turned to inner space because after land on the moon, our space exploration was done. We didn't do anything until Trump, in his first term, created the Space Force and started to say, we're going to go back to the moon. After 1969, we had a race against the Soviet Union. That's where Russia wants to be again, the Soviet Union. And we got there before they did. Now, China's trying to get there before we are, but it looks like we'll be there again before anybody else. Again, and plant our flag. But we're doing that so that it's easier to send a rocket to Mars from the moon or from a space station than it is from Earth, because the Earth takes so hard to get off and so much fuel spent and everything there. As you can see, I have a lot of life skills. I can talk about a lot of things. I mean, I had pursued an aeronautic engineer degree, but after 2 years, I saw the writing on the wall in 69. I started college in 68. In 69, when we landed on the moon, the space workers were showing up as gas jockeys, working at hardware stores, working at the grocery stores. It was terrible. All those engineers, yes, some of them still stayed on. Yes, there's still possible. It's not a new field you wanted to get into. And again, they didn't pay very much for them. I mean, it's one of the lesser fields. So I went to inner space thinking that'd be better. Oh boy, I was wrong. I was getting paid $4 an hour as a marine biologist. They paid a lot more. But, I was looking at polychaetes and looking at the mouth parts, identifying different polychaetes, doing environmental studies from Point Conception to the Mexican border, working on the research vessel Valero, 110-foot purse seiner. Anyway, going back to finances and finance attorney. Legal insurance is the way to look into it. I don't mean LegalZoom. LegalZoom is great for wills and simple things like that, and you pay a small fee, and it helps you things. I'm talking a full-blown where they cover the expense of the lawyer or have a co-deductible. I mean, if they pay 75% of the lawyer fees and you pay 25%, that's going to be a lot better to come up with. If they pay 75% of the retainer and you pay 25%, that again is a little bit more affordable. So look into legal insurance. A lot of you didn't realize that. Lisa further said her case is closed and the criminal case is dismissed. Somehow they took her away on the CPS case, which I don't understand at all. Well, I'm telling you, Lisa, that if your case, I don't know how long your case was closed by, I don't know the details of your CPS case. I thought you and the biological father, the biological mother were on the same CPS case. But apparently that your husband did some fancy shenanigans and never included you on the CPS. I don't know how they lose that, because I still don't know to this day if you lost your legal rights to your son. You told me not too long ago that you still had educational and you still had your rights to your son, and you were a senior son. That's the sad part. So I don't know. I'd have to go. You have to look at your paperwork. Because after your case is closed, there's statute of limitations. You may only have 15 days to file an appeal or 30 days. And I think you told me it ended in December, so you need to get right on it. And again, you're supposed to get a public defender at the beginning of your case, not at the end of your case. You're supposed to get a public defender or a court-appointed attorney. They're not going to appoint your attorney now to do an appeal, I don't think, because you didn't get one in the beginning. They say, oh, well, she maybe could afford one, but didn't choose to do so. I need to know more information, Lisa. I know that's hard. Hopefully, this end of this week or next week, you can talk on the show. And TAC needs a lawyer. Yes, that's what we're talking about. TAC, are you saying that I need to get my case overturned? Well, that's what appeal is. That's what appeal is. I don't know if TAC's case is that long. He says it was 20 years ago. And I don't know. All that you can do something that's 20 years old, I think, is do a lawsuit. And even civil lawsuits have statute of limitations. Hello, Taurus. You're new. Where are you from, Taurus? Glad to have you here. Well, thank you, Taurus. I need guidance on my mother's obtaining guardianship from. I have something I can help with. Oh boy, I can do that. But I looked at the clock. Oh no, it's after 9 o'clock. I got to end my live stream. I've already talked for an hour and a minute, and I've had about 4 of you in here express questions and comments. We've had Taurus, who I don't know where she's from or he's from. Lisa from Montana. TAC is from, I forgot where TAC's from. Oh boy. I think TAC is from, Collins County, Texas is TAC. And then we had the other person, Gott, and I think they're from, I never found out where Gott, from California somewhere. Well, thank you guys. Lisa, I hope to see you again. It's good to see you again. I'll be on at 1 o'clock this afternoon and again on at 6 p.m. I'm on 3 times a day, 8 a.m., 1 o'clock p.m., and 6 o'clock p.m. Those times are all in the Pacific time on the West Coast. That's Daylight Standard Time, by the way. We've already sent our clocks ahead. So, Lisa, you're 1 hour ahead of me. You're on Mountain Time. In Texas, you're 2 hours ahead of me. You're on Central Time. And anybody on the East Coast, you're 3 hours. And keep careful, some states have different time zones, like Tennessee is confusing. Anyway, I do have to go. I want to thank you all for listening. Hello, Christina Reynosa. She is from Las Vegas, and she is a very valuable person. I wish you had came in before my hour, Christina. I have to go. And you and I need to hook up on the phone and talk some. Christina Reynosa has been on my show for years. I've been doing this now for over 2.5 years. And Christina Reynosa has been so helpful. So anyway, you all, I enjoy talking and helping you in all different matters. I prefer to work on your matter. I mean, it gets boring hearing me, and I have lots of shows you watch repeats and things. So there's a short video to watch when I end the show. Please watch it, enjoy it. God bless you, and I'll see you at 1 p.m. this afternoon.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last ones left. Put your faith in